Well, good morning and welcome back to Rossi Mac Outdoors. You join us here at the bottom of Mount Toubkal in Morocco. It's the highest peak in the Atlas Mountains and North Africa. We are here to take on a 3-day trek of this amazing mountain to raise some much needed funds for Halton Haven Hospice, which is a fantastic charity which provides end-of-life care and care for those with life-limiting conditions free of charge to those in the local community of Halton and surrounding areas. As you can imagine, care like that does not come cheap, and they rely on funding from people like myself and you, from going out doing these sponsored treks to raise funds. And I'm looking forward to taking you along the way as we, like I say, complete this 3-day trek of Mount Toubkal.
Guys, just let me know what you want if you're ready up here.
Yeah.
And it's a real record for the highest food delivery service. And it was something ridiculous. It obviously wasn't one of the big mountains, but it was still.
So we've just stopped at a height of around about 2,300 metres for a quick glass of the mint tea, and we're going to get some food here before we crack on and head up towards base camp. So we've just stopped at a height of around about 2,300 metres, boys. How are you finding it so far?
All right.
Yeah, so far so
feel
good.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Been a
Steady
nice
challenge.
yes, steady,
Nice
step
steady
up.
pace, plenty of time to have a good look around and take in the surroundings.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely stunning place, stunning scenery. Recommend it to anyone.
And we've just stopped now for a quick glass of mint tea before we have some food and then head on up towards base camp.
Yeah, looking forward to my food now. Starving.
Yeah, like Eddie said, good to get some lunch. Green tea was fantastic. great hospitality. All good so far.
Cheers, boys. See what the rest of the day brings. Well, I'm not sure if the microphone will pick that up, but we've just left the little village where we stopped for lunch, and the wind's really picked up at the moment, so it's time just to put the head down, grit the teeth and push on. Well, after a nice steady start leading up until lunch, the ascent's really starting to pick up now, and it's very sort of loose underfoot, so it's taking plenty of concentration and plenty of walking. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. How are you finding it so far, Keith?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, quite rocky, so yeah, just small steps, nice and steady. Don't get too much there.
Yeah, that last little bit has been a bit of a stretch, a bit loose underfoot compared to the first.
Yeah, definitely very loose.
Time for a quick breather now and then push on to base camp.
Yeah, a bit more vertical now in it than this morning. In the midday sun as well, so take its toll a little bit.
Head down, crack on. Quick chat with Big Ian. How you feeling, mate?
Feeling good, mate, to be honest. Surprised, but I'll be very, very tired over the next few days.
Yeah, feet holding up all right?
For now, but that's because they're numb. I'm a novice to this, but I would say is if you get the opportunity and you've got the knees, go for it, definitely.
Height's definitely sort of increased a little bit since dinner.
Definitely,
A little bit steeper.
yeah. Can feel a bit more in the chest and breathing through the nose, but yeah, we should get it.
Terrain slightly different, slightly more rocky and loose. How are you finding that?
Pretty loose, pretty slippy shoes on, but I don't know, I've not tumbled yet.
Bit of dancing.
Absolutely. Enjoy.
Nice.
Well, we've just had our first glimpse of the base camp, or refuge as it's known locally, up the valley. Probably about another hour's walk until we get there, so I'm going to get our heads down, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and we'll bring you back when we get there and have a look at the facilities available for the next couple of nights. Well, here we are then, just arriving into base camp, everything already set up for us. Best tents, a couple of tents, and then the tents we'll be sleeping in tonight. Here's the meals that brought all our gear up, so that is day one's walking complete. So here we go, tent's all set up for the night. I've got my Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite mat, UGQ Bandit quilt, Trackology Luff pillow, and then a Thermarest cinch pillow that I've bought recently, which has been an absolute game changer. They don't pack down the smallest, but the comfort certainly made all the difference. We knew at some point on this trip we'd have a need for a doctor and a paramedic.
There you go. I needed to perform a laparotomy.
Well then, Ed, the youngest member of the team, how did you find that today?
Good, yeah, no, good, really good. Easy.
In terms of your expectations coming into it, how does that first day sort of map out to how you were expecting it?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't really know whether I actually had any expectations going into it. You know? But it was okay.
Obviously, something as a team that nobody has done before, so it's difficult.
Exactly.
Okay, you can watch YouTube videos and read reviews and things like that, but having not experienced the altitude and the effects that has on your body.
Yeah, for sure. Tingly fingers with the medicine. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, yeah, like you say, nothing comparable in the UK. But yeah,
And we've just got a nice little mint tea.
yeah, absolutely.
Just while we wait for dinner being cooked. Looking forward to settling down for the evening.
Yeah, I could probably go to sleep right now, to be honest. Yeah.
And then tomorrow, a long day ahead. We're expecting probably about 10 hours on the move.
Yeah, that's going to be the big one, isn't it? What time are we waking up?
I think about 3:30.
Okay, brilliant. Good. No, that's the answer that I wanted to hear, actually. Yeah. It'll be what it'll be. It'll be the difficult one, but it's just one
what
foot.
we're here for.
One foot in front of the other. Exactly.
That's it, mate. Cheers.
So that was an experience.
Well, the time's currently 11:30 on our first evening at Toubkal. We are at base camp, and there has just been a very sort of sizable earthquake. It's caused significant avalanches to both sides of the valley where we're sat. Luckily, our tents are protected because we've got rivers on both sides. We're currently in discussion with our local ground team as to our next move. Everyone's safe, everyone's whole. But like I say, we've been in the middle of an earthquake, and we're now in discussion with our local ground team as to our next move. Well, hello everyone. The time is now around about 1:30. We are, as you can see, me and Keith back in the tent. So just a quick rundown of events that have unfolded this evening. Around about 11:10, there was a significant earthquake that we are being told measured at 7.5 on the Richter scale. The epicenter of which was around about 100 kilometres from where we currently are. The information we have at the moment from the ground crew in Marrakesh is that it was felt there. There doesn't appear to be any structural damage in Marrakesh, but it's been felt as far away as 4 different countries. The area where we are at base camp at the moment, there's tents situated around probably about 100 metres higher than we are towards what they call a refuge, which is like the bunkhouse. They took significant impacts from rockfall, so those tents were evacuated and people were ushered into the building. The latest update we have, so the information is that we will delay our departure in the morning. We should have been leaving at around about 4:35 a.m. for a summit push, which now realistically seems highly unlikely. So we will be waking at 7. Sunrise is due for 6:45. Our guides will then evaluate the paths and the surroundings, any damage from rockfall, to see logistically how safe and practical it is for us to proceed with the trek, and what the next steps will be, whether that be to head back down the mountain towards Imlil, but then you've got the logistics of getting cars and vans to us to take us back to Marrakesh, because the roads, chances are, will be impassable. But again, we're just speculating at this stage, so I'll give you a further update in the morning when we do have some more information. But for now, we're just going to try and just relax and see if we can get some rest. Well, good morning. It's just after 9 o'clock here on Toubkal at base camp. Morning after the night before, really. We've had a bit of a briefing this morning. Obviously, we were sort of oblivious to the news reports appearing in the UK overnight. The signal's slim at best here. We've managed to reach out to family this morning and let everybody know, we are all safe and sound. We're planning, basically, we're in the safest place possible at the moment. So I'm not sure if you can see behind me. We're just in a raised sort of bit at the moment in between the valley. So there's rivers running down both sides that protected us from the avalanche caused by the earthquake overnight. So we're in no rush really to get down the mountain. The muleteers have been down this morning to check the paths, and they are passable back down to our starting point. And we have heard from our ground team in Marrakesh that they believe, or they're happy, that the roads are passable so that they can come and collect us. So we're hoping to set off around about 10:30 this morning to head back to where we started yesterday. we'll meet up with our ground team there and then head back into Marrakesh, try and sort out logistics. You know, we should have been obviously summiting today and then coming back to stay over again here, so we're gonna have to find another hotel for tonight, but we're hopeful that our ground team in Marrakesh are already on that for us, so we'll bring you an update when we know a little bit more. So just for a bit of context on the scale of the avalanche, this reinforced steel wall here has now been broken through by this huge piece of rock. It's probably talking at least 6 foot tall that now exists in this building. We've just been speaking to one of the military guards who's posted here, who said that they've now officially closed the mountain and closed the base camp, and that will remain closed for potentially 10 days to a month. So nobody will be allowed up the mountain until they confirm that it's safe and there'll be no further tremors in the area. And so the pack up begins. We've just had the green light. We'll be looking to leave base camp in around about 30 minutes to head back down to our starting point. Nick, pictured here with his son Ed, carried a box of his wife's ashes who passed away at the hospice to give them the motivation they needed to complete the trek. Well, that's us on the move then, heading back down Toubkal to the relative safety at the bottom of the mountain. From there, our grounds team are working on the logistics, getting us back to Marrakesh, and we'll see what happens in terms of hotels for the night from there. But yeah, for now, priority is safety, so we're getting down the mountain as quickly and as safely as possible, and we'll bring you more updates when we have them. So you can see here there's a big crevice in the path where a boulder has come down from somewhere up there in the avalanche last night that was triggered by that earthquake. Path's impassable in sections. This certainly wasn't here yesterday. So we made it down safely from the mountain to the bottom to be dealt the hammer blow that the roads from out of Imlil towards Marrakesh are completely impassable. We've been shown a photo of a boulder that's the size of a house, basically completely blocking the road. Chances are we're going to have to set up camp somewhere in this tiny little settlement where we are at the bottom of the village, at the bottom of the mountain, sorry. And then the chances are we're probably potentially looking at walking out of here tomorrow on foot, passing the boulders, and then getting picked up the other side. But you're probably looking at about 18 kilometers. So it's going to be a long walk with all, heavy packs. So a bit of a last resort really, so we're hoping that they're going to come back to us with some more positive information, but for now a bit of a hammer blow that the roads are impassable. Well, good morning. It's just gone 5 AM. We are setting off shortly on what we believe will be around about an 18-kilometre hike. Obviously yesterday we were dealt the hammer blow that the roads from Imlil back to Marrakesh were blocked. We've seen pictures of a boulder from the avalanche the size of probably a small terrace house in the middle of the road, so that's not passable by car, only by foot. So yeah, that's about 18 kilometres away, so we're getting packed up nice and early and we're going to head off. This is probably what they meant when they said that the roads are impassable. Single track, but some serious avalanche going on. So that's where the road used to be. Yeah, I'll have to walk around that one. So here we go, here's the boulder that has caused us so many logistical nightmares, and you can understand why. There's a small little passage to the side, but you're not getting much past that. And I don't mean Lucy, I mean the boulder. Hello everyone, I thought it'd be easier just to do a quick video rather than doing a big lengthy Facebook status dead wordy, basically just to try and sum up what we've just been through over the last 72 hours. So obviously most of you will be aware that we had a 3-day trek planned to raise much needed funds for the amazing Halton Haven Hospice. So we are in Morocco at the moment, and we were trekking Mount Toubkal, which is the highest mountain in the Atlas Mountains and the highest mountain in North Africa. So we set off on, what day is it now? We set off on Friday and we trekked to base camp. Everything went to plan as we were expecting, and then around about 11 on Friday night we were hit with a huge earthquake, which we now know was a 6.8 magnitude quake, which has at the moment killed just over 2,000 people, with the death toll expected to rise. At the time the quake hit, we were at our base camp at a height of 3,200 meters. What I can only describe as severe tremor. The ground shook for, you never know in these situations, but I'd probably guess at sort of 15 to 20 seconds, which then triggered a ginormous avalanche. The area where we were sort of camped at the time, we were quite lucky that we were in a raised area that had ravines on both sides, but we were getting basically the rocks from the avalanche or boulders were hitting us from 3 different directions, so from both sides and also from behind us. I jumped out the tent in time to see sparks flying as the boulders were hitting each other and splintering off and flying in all kinds of directions. So we were lucky there. Basically the area where the company that we were with normally camp is about 100 meters further up than where we were, and they basically had to evacuate them tents and run for cover as they were getting battered with rocks and all sorts. So yeah, that was the initial quake itself. There was a smaller aftershock about an hour afterwards, which again triggered a smaller avalanche. We then, around about 3 AM, had another aftershock which caused a significant landslide. At that point we knew that there was no way that we were going to be able to obviously summit on this occasion, and also it became very clear at the time that the best decision we had was to stay put. Obviously we hadn't been impacted by the initial avalanche, so what we then decided to do was to stay put. So we decided that our best action was to stay where we were. So the next morning we woke up and then we contacted our team, who advised us that the paths were clear, that we'd come up. So we made our way down the mountain to one of the smaller villages at the bottom of Mount Toubkal. We then set up camp there for the evening. We were unable to head back to Marrakesh because the roads there through the town of Imlil back to Marrakesh were impassable. So we spent another night in a tent there before this morning then being able to trek around about 14 kilometres from the base of Mount Toubkal through the little villages and settlements that were completely destroyed, some of these towns and villages wiped out. We were able to trek through there to meet our support team who have now brought us back to Marrakesh. What I will say is it's been a very, very traumatic experience over these last sort of 3 days. Something that's going to take me a lot of time to process and just come to terms with the magnitude of it all. So if you have messaged me or left a comment, please don't be offended if I don't get back to you straight away. It's just going to take me a little bit of time, like I say, just to process all the information, take everything in, and I will get back to everyone eventually. But yeah, all I wanted to let you know was just that we're all safe and sound, and we're on this occasion the lucky ones. But yeah, thanks for all your messages and comments, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Medics and staff from the Northwest have been describing how a charity fundraising trip to Morocco ended in a rescue mission. The team was trekking in the Atlas Mountains, raising money for a Runcorn hospice when the earthquake struck on Friday. As they escaped down the mountain range, they came across a ruined village where they helped to treat injured children. Ian Haslam has been speaking to some of the team members today.
The devastating aftermath of Morocco's deadliest earthquake in 60 years. It struck below villages in the high Atlas Mountains south of Marrakesh, close to where a group of Northwest volunteers were trekking.
We'd managed the first day's trek. We got up to the refuge at about 3,020, 200 metres. We were camping out for the night, and around about 11:30 I thought, that's a very big thunderstorm that's happening. But then the ground started to move as well, and you could hear the rock falls, but had no idea where they were due to there being no light. But you could see some sparks where rocks were hitting one another. Very frightening, definitely. Not something I've been through before, and probably wouldn't like to go through again.
Next day, the team made their way back down where they met local villagers.
We knew we couldn't get out from the village that evening because of the boulders blocking all the roads. We were kind of spoken to by some locals who said there were some injured children up in the village and could we go and help?
I've been part of the ambulance service for 23 years and nothing comes close to this because we deal with diversity of other people's injuries and illness on a regular basis. But when you're faced with such I can only describe it as a near-death experience on your own level, I don't think it's something that will ever leave me.
But caught up in the situation, instinct quickly kicked in.
A 17-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy sustained quite significant injuries. We began to treat them with some painkiller medication, some antibiotics and some fluids. And then I travelled with the young girl to hospital in Marrakesh, which took what felt like an eternity. And then I stayed with her in the hospital.
Do you feel like you saved a life there?
I don't like to think of it that way. I just feel like I've done my job. And I got to talk to her mum, who was obviously overwhelmed like I was to see each other.
Keith and the others were in Morocco to raise money for Halton Haven Hospice in Runcorn.
I lost my wife there 8 years ago. My daughter works there as the fundraiser and coerced me into going.
Have you learned something about yourself in a way through doing this? Because it talk about having to overcome adversity.
You can do whatever you want when you put your mind to it. And in the moment, everybody's worked really hard and everybody has done what they needed to do.
The team, who've raised more than £40,000, are due to fly home this evening. Ian Haslam, BBC Northwest Tonight.